Hey, what's going on, everyone? So, finally, I've been able to play some alpha tests for some games that we've been talking about over the past couple weeks or the past couple months. Talking about Arc Raiders, Marathon, and man, after about probably 30 hours total of playing both Marathon and Arc Raiders, I feel like I'm pretty confident in how I feel about the games. This one, I'm just going to talk about Arc Raiders. The next video will just be about Marathon. And then I'm going to talk about the futures of both of those games just because they're very comparable right now. That being said, let's go ahead and get into it. So if you didn't know already, Arc Raiders is an extraction shooter where you go to the surface, you loot things, you fight people, you fight robots, and you get all the equipment that you can and you extract without losing all your stuff, because if you die before you extract, you lose everything. You do have the option of picking free loadouts, or you can take everything that you've earned before, or even craft some things in the workshops that they have. The workshop mechanics are very well thought out, very fleshed out, and you can upgrade your workshops to provide you more materials and better things to craft, better things to create, more stuff to bring into the raids, and give you a better fighting chance against the stuff in there. So as of now, I think the news is that Arc Raiders will be $40. I couldn't really find a good source for that information. Probably by the time I upload the video, there's probably going to be a little bit more talks about how much it's going to cost. But I'm seeing it being $40. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. Well, you know what? I'll save that for the end. We'll get into that at the end. So pretty much what you do during the game is during the playtest, there was 3 different maps. There was the dam, there was the buried city, and then there was also spaceport. My personal favorite was buried city, but I think I liked that one the most because by the time I started playing on that map, I already had a lot of equipment and I almost had a 100% extraction rate on that map. Dam was probably my roughest map. The next thing I want to go into is kind of just how the game felt initially when I first went into it. So when I first got into the Arc Raiders game, when I first loaded into the Dam map, I was actually scared. The game is very intense, and I think that's the intention when it comes to playing extraction shooters. The rush that I would get picking things up or finding containers, finding things that look good, or things that I actually needed for my setups and my workshops, it was exhilarating. And the stress you feel trying to sneak your way to an extraction point and not get caught is unmatched, honestly. I've talked about before on this channel wanting to get into extraction shooters because they appeal to me. They are competitive, they are very risky. Doing things and earning certain equipment actually means something, because when you pull up on somebody that has weaker stuff than you, you know it's because you got it yourself. And if you roll up on people that are stronger than you, you know they got it themselves and you want it. Like, you want to take it from them. There is no time where I faced down somebody in PvP and was getting chunked by one of the weapons they had and was thinking in my head, oh my god, this guy has a broken weapon. Oh my god, this guy's abusing meta or anything like that. I was thinking, man, I want to take that shit from him. I need whatever that is. That shit just blew a hole in my chest. I need that. And there was a couple times where I did, in fact, win those fights and I took their equipment and I left with it. One prime example was if you watched the stream at all, with the first day that I got access to the playtest, the first day that it was available, there was a guy who had the lever action AR. Well, that thing was really strong. And it should have been. Like, it was a blue tier weapon at base. Most of the weapons that you use are gray tier. Some are green. There's one green I think that I found that was the burst AR. I think it was called the, not Staccato. I'm thinking of Destiny. I don't know what it is. I'd have to look it up again. But it was a burst green AR. And it was very solid. But that lever action AR was phenomenal. It was great. and I had killed somebody that had that. They had blue shields, a blue backpack, the blue AR, and I beat his ass with all gray stuff and a free loadout. I took everything he had and I immediately extracted. But then the next game, I took all that stuff in with me and I lost it to somebody else. It was great. I didn't lose because the dude had better weapons or anything else. I legitimately was not used to using that lever action AR, and I lost it because I couldn't fight. And it was what it was. Like, I wasn't even mad about it. I was honestly just excited to even have that engagement to begin with. So the next thing I want to talk about is PvP as a whole. Bro, the PvP is so solid. Like, man, it's great. No weapon feels like it's significantly weaker than others. The weapons just feel like they have different roles to play. If you fight somebody in close quarters with a sniper, you're usually gonna lose. And that makes sense. It's a third-person shooter. You shouldn't be able to just gun somebody down in a close quarters environment with a sniper rifle when they have a shotgun or an SMG. I lost in a building. I had a sniper. I was too aggressive. I knocked one teammate, and I was playing with my wife. I knocked one teammate. The other teammate was still up. He had a shotgun, and I decided to push him with a sniper rifle. It wasn't good. I got dropped. My wife was already low, and she got dropped too because that shotgun hurt in close quarters. Like it should have. We lost the engagement fair and square, and it was solid. It was great. Another thing that I need to point out, because this is a big talking point amongst these games, the solo play experience is phenomenal, right? I probably played a total of, I'd say probably 18 hours of actual playtime within the playtest of Arc Raiders. And I only had 3 games where I played with somebody else, and I played with my wife for 3 games. All of the rest of those 18 hours was me playing by myself, and not a single time did I feel like I was overwhelmed or anything like that. I think how the matchmaking works, because this is how it felt like, right? I think the matchmaking, my goodness, I think the matchmaking prioritizes solo players over groups whenever you're matchmaking. You don't just match with whoever's available. It tries to line you up with people who are in the same situation as you. And I feel like that fleshed out the pool for matchmaking so much more. It was so balanced when it came to matchmaking. I did not face a single team when I was playing solo. Not a single time did I fight a 3-stack or a 2-stack or anything. It was all solo players. But then when I started playing with Sarah, that's when we started facing groups, and most of them were duos. I didn't see a single trio the whole time I played. That is amazing. So the reason why I'm so hype about that kind of matchmaking is because not all the time are you going to be able to play with a friend. And it is a very intense game mode, and it sucks a lot to not have help. But at the same time, being able to play solo and actually succeed if you're playing well and you're playing smart is phenomenal. You legitimately feel rewarded for doing the things that you do. There was a couple games where I had killed 5 other raiders and extracted. There were some games where I died within the first 5 minutes, and that was it. It's all variable, and it's all, the sandbox just feels great. It all feels great. So the next thing I do want to talk about is the PvE elements. And if you don't know what PvE means, it's player versus environment. The Arc robots are strong as hell, bro. They are stupid strong. Now, the little wasps and the hornets that you can see, the little flying dudes, they're not that bad. Sometimes they have armor around their wings, so they have little rotors that you have to shoot. If you shoot all the rotors, because, you know, they look like drones. They've got 4 little rotors on the edges of them and stuff like that. If you shoot the rotors out, you'll kill them. They don't really take damage to the body, which is fine. You know, that makes sense. You can't just gun down things. It would be a little bit too easy. So I like the variability in the PvE elements. Sometimes the flying ones will have armor around those rotors, and it's ridiculous trying to like blast that off if you don't have the right weapon, because sometimes the light weapons do not do that much damage to Arc. They're great against people, but not against Arc. And it makes sense. Like, you shouldn't be able to take in one gun and be able to kill everything in the lobby just because it's a good gun. You should prioritize those kind of things. And, well, I'll get into the structure of runs in a second, but the PvE is rough. Hornets and Wasps by themselves is fine, but sometimes you will find these big ass missile dudes or the big walking dog, like, bro, these big ass tanks that you cannot fight, and they will gun you down in a second. It doesn't matter if you have blue shields, purple shields, green shields, no shields at all. They will mac you up. And that missile flyer, bro, ridiculous. There's sometimes laser sniper turrets on top of certain buildings that are hot POIs. The hot zones will have these sniper turrets that will legitimately snipe you across the map and just tank your shit. Now the thing is, right, the way the armor and health system works in Arc Raiders is not what you think it would be. Usually when you play a game that has shields, the shields take damage first and then your health takes damage. But in Arc Raiders, the shields are just mitigation. They can still break and you lose the mitigation. But like, for example, right, if you have a green shield, it's 36% damage mitigation. I'm just making that number up. I don't remember what the exact stat is, but it's 36% damage mitigation. So when you take damage, you're only taking the other half of whatever that is, the other side of the 36%. So you are still taking damage to your health, it's just not as much. That's why when you take health heals, if you're not using certain higher level healing, it's healing over time, and you can't just spam heals and get your health back up. It takes time for that stuff to load back up, and you'll see it within the gameplay when I show it in the background, because I don't really have a lot of footage, because, and I don't know, it's kind of hard to record and play at the same time. I feel like when I record, I have really bad games, but when I'm playing by myself, I have great games. So it is what it is. You'll probably see some in the background, you won't. It is what it is. But the game's health and healing system is great, and it's phenomenally balanced, because even if you fight somebody that happens to have purple shields when you have green shields, they are not flat out just having more health than you. They're just taking a little bit less damage. So you can still fight them. You can still kill them. If they're missing shots or you are just hitting everything, you will kill them. And it's very balanced. It's nice. I like it a lot. So another thing I want to talk about is the feeling of the game. The game is very solid, right? It feels very grounded. Your character feels very solid, and the world feels very permeable. I know I keep saying very a lot. I don't have a lot of synonyms. I don't have the thesaurus on me. I'm sorry. It's nice, man. It's very solid. The world feels real, and the lootable objects, the things that you can break open and breach into, those things feel like a part of the environment, and it's amazing. Like, if you go into an electrical area, a place that's marked as electrical for electrical components, the things that you can loot are electrical boxes. You can break into fuse boxes and break those open, pull out wires or pull out batteries and things like that. If you're in an industrial area, you'll usually find loot containers that are steel boxes that are bound closed. You go in there and break those open and find stuff. You'll find Arc like satellites crashed, and you can go into those and break those open, and you'll get Arc materials. Like, it all makes sense. Everything that you find, you can tell what kind of loot will be in there. And I feel like that makes the world so much more viable. Like, you can work so much more efficiently with that kind of stuff. And I feel like attention to detail like that is looked over a lot of times in games. Because some looters, you'll find, like Delta Force, for example, they do have like kind of a hierarchy where loot is and what kind of stuff spawns in certain things, but those objects are everywhere. It's always the same lootable objects. They have this certain loot, but it's the same lootable objects. In Arc Raiders, the objects depend on where you are and what they are. If you find a crashed Arc Pod, you'll get Arc components, and depending on what kind of Arc Pod it is, like say it fell off of a walker, or it's a dead wasp that's already buried, it was dead before you got there, or a walker, I already said a walker, a bison, which is one of the big spider leg ones. If you find a shell of one of those, it will have spider parts in it, or bison parts in it. The other ones will have the other parts in it, and they pertain to what was crashed. It's a phenomenal attention to detail is really what I'm getting at, and it makes the world feel very alive and very solid. One last thing, well, it's not really a last thing. So the visuals, man, The art style, I love it. Usually I don't like big open desert of post-apocalyptic stuff. I'm not really a post-apocalyptic kind of person, even though I love Fallout and I play Fallout a lot. I'm not the type of person to really bank on that post-apocalyptic kind of aesthetic unless it's things that are like, I don't know, like Destiny, like the sci-fi kind of post-apocalyptic where the Vex had taken over the planet and things like that. So it's you see remnants of old colony buildings and things like that in Destiny, but they're overtaken by like the Vex and things like that. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm sorry. Just think of like sci-fi dystopian, like cyberpunk things, very large buildings and, you know, metropolitan streets that are empty and things like that. I like that kind of stuff. I don't really like Fallout New Vegas, Mojave Desert kind of stuff, unless it pertains to Fallout New Vegas itself. I know that's very contradictory, but Fallout's a great series. I'm going off track with that, but the aesthetic is phenomenal. It's got kind of like an 80s undertone with still being futuristic and post-apocalyptic. I'm pretty sure the game is set in the 2100s. I mean, it's kind of late to be talking about a synopsis, but it is what it is. Pretty much ARK is like this robot organization or whatever it is. I really don't know what it is. There's not a lot of lore explanation right now because it's just the alpha. We'll learn more about the story later, but as far as I know, the ARK robots have taken over the surface of Earth, and the Raiders, and really everybody else, all of humanity lives underground. The Raiders go up to the surface to scavenge things and bring things back so we can continue to survive underground. And I hope eventually later on we figure out how to stop the ARK or figure out where they came from. Are they run by other humans, or do they run on their own? Are they controlled by an AI or a government? We don't know, but that's the basis of the environment. So a lot of the aesthetics are like really 80s stuff or scavenged armor. The cosmetics that were in the alpha had, or the playtest, I don't know if it's considered an alpha, but the playtest that we had, it had cosmetics that were very like, they felt like scavenged armor and scavenged pieces of drip and things like that. It was very cool, and I like the retro aesthetic and the logo and the music and all that stuff. It's very good, man. The aesthetic of the game fits very well. As far as sound design goes, man, the sound design is crispy. Now, every once in a while, it kind of feels like your own footsteps are very loud, but you can very accurately track people with the sound. And being aware like that, it just adds another layer to the intensity of the game. The game is very intense, and you will hear every creak, every step, every little blow of the wind, every shifting of the sands will have you on edge thinking like, was that a person I just heard, or is that one of the ARK tanks walking above the building? What's going on? And a lot of the times you could use that sound to your advantage. If one of the ARK tanks are walking around on the surface, they'll usually shake the building that you're in. If you're underground, they'll shake the building, they'll make a lot of noise, and it sounds like footsteps. So a lot of the times you can cover up breaching into things and breaking open boxes with the ARK's movements or other people's fighting. It's great. Really, anything you can think of, you can do, and I feel like Embark nails that kind of game design. If you've ever played the finals, or if you've ever seen me play the finals or seen somebody else play the finals, whatever you think you can do, you usually can do. Like, I don't know, my voice was cracking like that. You usually can do that stuff. If you see a building that has a cash out box on the very top in the finals, and you're playing heavy and you want to knock that building down and make the cash box come down and bring everybody else with it, you sure can. You can knock the foundations down and knock that whole bitch down. ARK Raiders is kind of the same thing. Environmentally wise, you can't break open buildings or bust down things like that, but if you think something should work a certain way, as far as like, hey, this breach is about to be loud, let me throw a lure grenade to make all the ARK go to one area and go over there and distract everybody else while I bust open this box and cover up my noise, you can definitely do that. And it's a very viable strategy. There's silencers in the game as well that you can add to your weapons. Add stealth if you want. You could double down on just going in loud and fighting everybody and everything that you can find. But mind you, the PvE is very rough if you try to do it on your own. I didn't get to fight any PvE as a group, but man, they'll get you. The ARK will get you for sure. Now the loot feels important. you can go in and pick up a lot of components, but there's no, I feel like extraction shooters, a lot of the times, one of the main elements that they need to focus on is balancing a good amount of loot with also being a meaningful amount of loot, right? Like, it's fine to walk into a building and have a bunch of crates in it, but if all the crates just contain gray tier items or ammo or like little junk items, like, oh, you found a dirty sock, sell it at the armory for $50 or something like that, it just feels like ass. It feels like you're overfilling your bag every time. It feels like you're not getting a lot of use out of your runs, and it just kind of falls flat on its face when it does things like that. Arc Raiders does not struggle with that at all. If you go into a place that is not marked for loot, you will rarely ever find anything in there. And if you do, it's probably going to be a little bit of ammo, or maybe a battery if you're lucky, or some wires. It's nothing important. So you know that you can kind of just skip over it and head to POIs that you've been to, or that you know, or things that you see on the map. Yellow areas have more and the red areas have the most. But of course, that being said, since there's no outer lying bullshit loot everywhere, people are concentrated into main areas, which is the last point I want to get to, bro. PvP. If you want a lot of fights, Arc Raiders is definitely for you. Not a single run went by where I didn't see at least 3 people every time. I fought a lot during this playtest, and I lost a lot, but I also won a lot. By the end of the playtest, before it closed, I was pretty consistently fighting and extracting. It got to a point where I was very confident in my ability to fight no matter what weapons I had. If I was thinking I just wanted to do PvP and I'm going to steal something from somebody after they loot a high value area, then I would do it. I'd pick a free loadout, get ready for it, and I'd go in and I'd fight as hard as I could. Sometimes I was successful, sometimes I'm not. The PvP intensity and how often it happens, it happens very often. If you want a lot of fights, and I'm not talking about like, oh, you crawl through something and you're just standing there looting a box and then you just get sniped and dropped. Arc Raiders does not really have that. You always, and I say that with an extreme amount of confidence, you always have an opportunity to get away and to fight back every single time. I cannot tell you how great this game is off of that fact alone. Off of the PvP alone, this game is very much worth playing. And for $40, hey man, I'd pay $40 for less. You know what I'm saying? Like, now we're in the day and age where game studios are starting to make their games $80. Bro, 40 for Arc Raiders? Oh yeah, I'm taking that. PvP frequency, it happens a lot, and it's very balanced. It's very balanced. No matter what weapons you have, it's very balanced. As far as customization, there's not a lot, but I'm sure if they implement like the finals system of cosmetics or something like that, then it'll definitely be amazing. But I mean, so far it's not bad. There's some costumes that you can have, but I mean, that wasn't really the focus of the playtest, so I won't harp on that too much. We'll have to be a little bit closer to the game to actually kind of go over that kind of stuff. And when I talk about marathon as well, I'm also going to kind of leave that to the side because that's not really the intention of these playtests. Matchmaking was very fast. I didn't wait more than like a minute and a half for each game. The ping system is great. There's not really any roles or anything to play. I mean, I guess you could coordinate having a long range teammate, short range teammate, but honestly, I would just recommend kind of taking the battle royale approach to things, that have a long range weapon and then have the weapon that you're comfortable fighting with at medium to close range, or your favorite weapon. There are heavy like hand cannons, and there's also like normal pistols, ARs, shotguns, SMGs, snipers, marksman rifles, you know, the whole shebang, right? The whole normal loadout that you expect from a shooter. So those are in there. As far as like server stability, crashes, bugs, all that stuff, I did not see a single thing like that. Not a single bug. I didn't just lose loot out of nowhere. There was no containers that were glitched for me. There was no visual bugs, server lag, nothing. Like, man, we're a couple months away from release. I think it's September when this game comes out. And this is playtest 2 and the game is this solid. Like, dude, I would pay for it right now and play it as it is right now. At the end of the day, Here's what I'll tell you. This game is a 9.8 out of 10 for me. 9.8 for real. And I mean that. Like, that's a hefty rating. But I really feel like it's a 9.8. It's very fun. It's fair. Everything is great about it. The voice communications is great. Proximity chat is great. There was multiple times where somebody had, we had got to extraction at the same time and been like, hey man, hey, let's just extract. We don't have to fight. Let's just get out of here. And they've been like, yeah, let's go. Let's get out. And we've extracted. It happened multiple times. It wasn't just 1 or 2 times. And of course, there was a couple times where somebody said, hell no, and we're going to fight it out. And I'll kick their ass, bro. It is what it is. You're not taking my shit. But the game is great. It has a fantastic personality. It's very unique within the extraction shooter genre, and Embark is sitting on a gold mine right now, in my opinion. If you think that you want to try extraction shooters for the first time and you want to get into extraction shooters, definitely play Arc Raiders. Arc Raiders has single-handedly converted me into an extraction shooter player, and I will be itching to play anything like this for a minute. Like, I'm gonna be going through withdrawals while this game is not available until September, or at least the next beta, man. But yeah, 9.8, man. That's what I give it. 9.8 out of 10 for an extraction shooter. It's definitely worth playing solo. It's definitely worth playing as a team. It's definitely worth playing in general. I think the $40 price tag is very reasonable. And yeah. Oh, one last thing. There is no like pay to win kind of stuff going on. So if you're concerned about that, it's only cosmetics for transactions, for microtransactions. It's only cosmetics. And during the playtest, they gave you the battle pass coins for free. So you didn't even have to pay like real money. Of course, during a playtest, you're not going to. And if they do charge you real money, then you should run away from that game. But that's its own subject. Final verdict. If you like extraction shooters already and you play shit like Tarkov, I think that you'll enjoy Arc Raiders. If you've never played an extraction shooter before and you want to get into them, you should definitely play Arc Raiders. And if you have friends that sweat on extraction shooters and you've wanted to play with them but been scared about not being able to keep up, play Arc Raiders with them. Brother, I'm telling you. I mean, Embark deserves it anyways because the finals is such a great game and Arc Raiders is also phenomenal. But just as an experience, man, Arc Raiders is a 9.8 out of 10, man. 10 out of 10, honestly. 10 out of 10, in my own personal opinion. I'm trying to be objective about it, but I can't. I'm very biased to it, bro. This game is phenomenal. 10 out of 10 for me. Anyways, enough yammering on. I'd like to know what you guys think. If you guys want to play it, or if you guys think that that I should be playing this when the time comes. I mean, of course I'm going to play it for content. I hate to say for content because you know me, I like to play games just to play. I like to document it just because it's fun. I like making these videos just because they're fun. So let me know what y'all think about it in the comments. Try to save your opinions about Marathon for the actual Marathon videos when I go over a comparison between these two, because I know if you guys like Destiny like I do and things like that, you've probably been thinking about Marathon since it announced and things like that. We'll go over that when the time comes. But for now, let me know how you feel about Arc Raiders. Let me know if you guys would like to do that. Also, I'm making a Discord. It's taking me a little bit because I've never really done this stuff before. I'm making a Discord so when games like this come out and we're playing it, you guys can play with me during streams and we can have, you know, VC during streams or voice chat during streams. You guys can message each other. You guys can look for groups within the Discord. You guys can talk to each other about games, debate about stuff, argue about stuff. Of course, all in good fun. We're not going to bully people. And I'm going to tell y'all this again. I tell y'all almost every time. Do not bully people for no reason. Like, don't just be an asshole just to do it. I'm all for being an asshole. Rage baiting is one thing, but being just a complete dick to somebody is another. And we'll go over it when we get there, bro. Like, I mean, I'm going to give you warnings. I'm not going to just ban you outright unless it's something crazy. But, yeah. Keep it cordial, bro. And the Discord will be up. Share stuff, link stuff, play stuff, all that jazz. With that being said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, rest of your evening. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.